But this outrage should be directed not in Israel, but at the terrorists. As we proceed in this war, Israel will do everything it can to keep civilians out of harm's way. We have asked them and will continue to ask them to move to safer areas. We'll continue to work with you, Mr. President, to assure that the minimal requirements are met, and we'll continue to work together to get our hostages out. Mr. President, the road to victory will be long and hard, but united in purpose and with a deep sense of justice and the unbreakable spirit of our soldiers and our people, Israel will prevail. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. In the wake of Hamas's appalling terrorist assault, it was brutal, inhumane, almost beyond belief what they did. This cabinet came together and standing strong, standing united, and I want you to know you're not alone. You are not alone. As I emphasized earlier, we will continue to have Israel's back as you work to defend your people. We'll continue to work with you and partners across the region to prevent more tragedy to innocent civilians. 75 years ago, your founders declared that this nation would be one based, quote, based on freedom, justice, and peace. Based on freedom, justice, and peace. The United States stands with you in defense of that freedom, in pursuit of that justice, and in support of that peace. Today, tomorrow, and always, we promise you.
You don't give up? You don't give up?
Nothing changes, same in Washington.
Same thing.
A joint press briefing there coming in by the U.S. President Joe Biden and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Remember, the U.S. President Joe Biden landed in Tel Aviv in Israel earlier in the day. Now, this visit is being seen as once again the United States sending a loud message in terms of their support for Israel ever since this conflict broke out. Remember, the timing of the visit is also crucial because this comes hours after that horrific attack on a hospital in Gaza. What we are hearing from the US President now is that in terms of the evidence that he's managed to see, he's also gone on to reiterate that Israel had no role to play as far as this attack on that hospital in Gaza is concerned. Israel and the IDF forces have also put out their version saying they have enough evidence and proof to say that Israel in fact had no role to play. This in fact was a misfire by Hamas. Let's also now bring in our colleague Siddhant, who's joining us on the broadcast. Siddhant, now this visit by the US President was being watched and monitored very closely by experts across the globe because many were pointing out that this is going to be a tightrope walk for the United States. Will we possibly see a softening of stand towards Palestine more and lesser towards Israel? But what we've heard so far from the US President, they in fact have just reiterated their strong support for Israel.
Well, look, diplomacy is all about give and take, and who understands it better than American diplomats? Now, if on one end, Mr. Biden has said that America has Israel's back, and also said that the other group has a role to play in the hospital strike, it's a big clean sheet for Israel, perhaps. The way it was being built against Israel since yesterday. But at the same time, what we are hoping for is an announcement of humanitarian corridor. Why it is on the cards? Because there is immense pressure on the Arab world, from the Arab world on America to announce the humanitarian corridor and for a ceasefire. Now, ceasefire is something which is not likely on the cards anytime soon. It looks like, because twice both leaders addressed press came in front of cameras, but nowhere there was mentioning of ceasefire or humanitarian corridor. In the morning, we were expecting this particular briefing, which took place short while back. No such announcement or mentioning of those words. Now, I would put it this way, that it looks very vague. The future of this war looks very vague, because this was one opportunity where the world was expecting America to come up with some solution, or perhaps to move a step forward. At least that was expected. But since there has been no such announcement, it looks that the future of the war is vague, and Israel is going to go into Gaza, launching the counteroffensive on ground. That is for sure. There is America is not going to stop Israel, and it's perhaps going to support Israel. So nothing has changed since the hospital strike. There were a lot of political observers, those who follow international relations, who are commenting that things will change now. Narrative has gone out from the hands of Israelis. But America is standing strongly behind Israel. And President, the top executive man of America, is supporting Israel. Well, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed at all. This war is going to continue for a few more days.
Siddhant, that is the unfortunate reality, that this conflict is only going to increase. And as we've been discussing today, now the big priority also is the humanitarian crisis that is playing out on the ground for the people of Gaza. There have been talks about opening up of a humanitarian corridor, but Israel hasn't given that go-ahead. What are sources on the ground telling you? Are those negotiations of that possibility, opening of a corridor, still on?
Yes, absolutely. See, the talks are still going on. In fact, I have been speaking to the policymakers back in Tel Aviv, from the MFA, to the people in the Prime Minister's office. They all are on record confirming that there are talks for the humanitarian corridors. But what is going to be the format, when it will be announced, that is something on which work is going on. We were expecting that during the Biden's visit, since it's going to be a high-profile visit, President of the United States is traveling to a war zone. So we were expecting some time sort of an announcement. But it looks like it's not going to happen today. Maybe after a few days, maybe some last-moment work is remaining, and post that there could be an announcement, because Israel is citing a lot of examples or perhaps reasons when it comes to opening humanitarian corridor, that how the tractors which Israel sent into Gaza were used against Israel to blow up the barbed wire, barbed fences. The petrol, the diesel, which used to be sent to Gaza, were used against.
So, as Siddhant is pointing out, that top authorities now confirming to him that negotiations about the opening of a possibility of a humanitarian corridor is still very much on the table. Siddhant, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Keep a close eye on all those developments for us. We do have to slip into a very short break.